Hey everybody, it's Bust with Battles with Bust number 182, and today we're going to be doing Battle in the Gauntlet. And so, if you're wanting to skip ahead to the gameplay today, we're going to be playing Sejuani Gwen that we did in the previous couple videos. We're going to play Poppy Taric that we played in the past couple of videos, but the new deck entering the lineup is we're taking out that Action Pantheon and bringing in Misfortune Swain. And so, my kind of idea and ideal with this is, again, I'm looking for a lineup that is good against Nami. The thing with Nami is people tend to play the deck atrociously bad. The people that are achieving the high win rate are quite good with the deck, but if you're coming into the event with like minimal experience with it, or even sometimes a moderate amount of experience, it's very easy to play quite poorly. And so that's kind of piece one of wanting to leave the deck up. The next piece of that puzzle is there's, kind of right before the 316 patch, the popular version of Nami was Nami Twisted Fate. And that is strong against a lot of the decks I like to play. A lot of these really aggressive numbers with low health units in it aren't really looking to be playing against Twisted Fates and Make It Rains. It's a very good way to slow us down and let their abilities and deck lists pop off. But with the release of the 3.6 patch, the thing that we've kind of seen change is that Twisted Fate is getting paired off with Swain, and then people are moving to the Lee Sin version of Nami, which is fantastic for me. I don't think the stats show it well right now. We'll pull those up here in a little bit, but the Lee Sin deck is, I think, in my opinion, at least a little bit weaker than the Twisted Fate version against the decks that we like to play. Now, when you look at the win rates, there's a couple of different things there. I think that the win rate being better for the Lee Sin version is just a factor of that being the new version of the deck list. People have had time to play Nami Twisted Fate poorly and drag its win rate down. They haven't had as much time with Nami Lee Sin to do the same thing. And so what we're kind of looking to have happen here is the Nami Lee Sin deck actually has quite good matchups against Swain. And so I expect it to be popular. We're trying to play decks that are good there. And then ideally those Twisted Fates are going to be paired off with Swain. And Swain is going to be the band that we're bringing. And so that is the kind of idea with this. The last piece of this is we've kind of gotten into trouble in some of the past seasons as to where we look at like the best deck in the format and say like, oh, people are going to target that, or we're just going to ban it, so there's no reason to play it. I'm in the kind of camp now that it is quite okay to bring a Swain deck. You plan to ban it and then expect your opponent to ban it as well. And so I think that that's okay with our deck list kind of narrowing down to us playing Gwen Sejuani and Poppy Taric in pretty much every match, if we assume that all of our opponents are just going to ban Swain. And then I don't think that the decks that are actually good against Swain in this format tend to line up here pretty well. And so the big difference between the Twisted Fate Swain decks is it's more control-y. It's really kind of centered on getting kills with the Swain and the Leviathan, as to where the Misfortune Swain deck that we'll be playing is much more aggressive, much more resemblant to Pirates. And so that's the idea with our lineup. We can bring up the deck lists real quick. Sejuani Gwen, this is the same list that we've been playing across the past few videos. I'm really happy with it. I'm considering the thoughts of just dropping down to one Battle Fury, because it's a little scary to be playing Battle Fury against a lot of the matchups that we are interested in beating. Right? If you drop a Battle Fury and have that unit get Homecoming, then you're in kind of a bind. I do really like the idea of having them in the deck, because you do find yourself, say, playing against stuff like Action Pantheon that just can't interact with this in the middle of the game. But I'm not entirely sold on wanting the entire 2 copies here. But otherwise, I'm pretty happy with this. I'm contemplating adding in an additional copy of Strike Up the Band, is basically where this one is applying. But otherwise, I'm very happy with this deck list. We'll come back to Misfortune Swain. Poppy Taric is the same version that we've been playing here recently. I'm curious these days if we start to see a drop in Poppy Taric. If you're not familiar with the community news, Mage and Bay just pushed to rank 1 NA with Fiora Pantheon. And so if people look to start playing Fiora Pantheon, you can't play both Demacia and Targon in the same lineup. And so I'm curious if Poppy Taric kind of falls away a little bit because of the work he's done here recently. To not get too far off track, I also have to mention I don't think that deck is particularly good. I say this about a lot of Mage and Bay decks, and I don't think it's disrespectful. The thing that you'll see with him is he's just better than everybody else. And so he's able to take these bad decks to a positive win rate, and then when the general population gets a hold of it, you kind of find out that the deck actually isn't that good. I think that's what we kind of found out with his Nora decks. We found out with the initial versions of Poppy Taric. It's what we found out with a lot of the stuff he does. I by no means mean it to be disrespectful. He is just like better than everyone. There's only a handful of people in the world that can say they're on his level, and they probably all just live in Brazil. But I think it's safe to say that I'm not a huge fan of that deck, and you do have to take his listings with a grain of salt because he's just better than everyone. And so that was an interesting little note, though. I saw those tweets flying out today about him hitting rank 1 with Fiora Pantheon, and thought it was worth noting. But the last deck on the list here is Misfortune Swain. This is a very Pirates-heavy style lineup. Looks very similar to what Pirates was doing in the past, where Pirates used to be able to close out games with the likes of Decimate. Now we're looking to be just a little bit slower, a little bit more mid-rangey, but able to close things out with the Leviathan and Swain. And so the things that I like to call out with this that I don't see across a lot of the lists are, I think Shellshocker definitely has a place in here. I'm not entirely certain on the complete numbers across all of the things that we're doing. The problems that you kind of run into here is the Shell Shocker and the only has 1 health, and so if we're looking to play a bunch of like 1 health units, if we're going to play Shell Shockers, and then if we're going to play the 1 cost Legion unit that does a point of damage, they all tend to get killed by Fortune Croaker, and so you don't really want to line yourself up too heavily with these ideas that the Fortune Croaker is just going to kill off your own unit. And then also you are doing the kind of self-damage stuff with the Crusty Codger, and so cutting out too much of the Crusty Codger for Shell Shockers limits your ability to level up Swain. But I think that these decks are A, making mistakes and not playing Shell Shocker, and then B, making mistakes and not playing Heavy Metal. I think Heavy Metal is fantastic in this format right now, and since we aren't just trying to be super piracy and loading up the board with units and slamming all those units in, I think Heavy Metal definitely has a place here as well. I'm not entirely certain it should be a 2 of. It might just want to be a 1, but I think it definitely belongs in here. Otherwise, I'm pretty happy with everything happening in this. Riptide Sermon is still an absolutely fantastic card, and then the Eye of Nagakaboro's Tentacle package is a nice way to give us that little bit of reach that we need to close out the games, and we just have tons and tons of reach now with the Leviathan also drawing Swains. And so, pretty powerful package. I've been pretty happy with it. Hopefully we get a good showcase off of it today. And so, man, I forgot I had some numbers in here. This was the quick piece I wanted to pull up. I usually do a little bit bigger spreadsheet thing for seasonals, but we have the good decks up here to the left. This is the Nami Twisted Fate. The matchups are pretty positive across the board. Lee Sin, Nami, and to Blue Gwen would be the worst matchup here, but I suspect that a lot of these other Nami decks are just a little bit off course in terms of how good the win rate is. I think it's slightly above even to even, and I'm happy enough with that. But the deck we're looking to ban out, Twisted Fate Swain, is the most popular iteration of Swain. I'm happy to ban Swain Vandal City. All of the kind of control decky styles of Swain we're looking to ban out. But, as I was assembling this sheet, the thing that I think is important to kind of bring up is to look at the last thing here. I did start to include the current play rate percentage at Masters, and this is why I think it's important just to bring good decks to these formats, right? If we're wanting to look at this, we do have Twisted Fate Swain at a 13% play rate of the format, but then if we just add up the Namis, she's only getting to 6%, and then no other deck in the format even hit 5% of the current meta. And so everything is just kind of super wide open right now. I know that that's kind of problematic given that the new patch was just released and people are out here still testing stuff, but historically in this game, nothing really pushes over 10 or 15%. And so even if you're wanting to say, okay, Twisted Fate Swain is at 15% of the format, say that 40% of the decks are going to play it in seasonals, then you're going to have a bunch of lineups that just don't have it in it, right? If we're going to play 9 rounds and 4 of those rounds don't even involve this deck, it makes it a little painful to bring lineups attempting to just beat up on Swain. And so I feel like our lineup, while we are planning to ban Swain and then be good against Nami Twisted Fate, I think these are all decks that are capable of winning on their own, and they have a lot of power to them. I don't feel like we're bringing tier 2 decks because they're good against Swain or good against Nami. I feel like all of our decks here have a lot of punch and a lot of value, and I'm really happy with all of their places in the format. And so that's it. With that out of the way, let's head on in. I forgot to pay the pay-to-win price. We'll swing back to that in just a moment. Here we go. We can hit it right now. I know we need to go and level up, strike up the band. That's the one that the price needs to be paid for. We're going to be summoning the premium bands now, and so I'm quite stoked, quite happy to have that happening. And the pool party. Let's go. Confirm and battle. And so cool. Yeah, so my intent for the next few days is I'm going to try and get in two gauntlets today. We'll see if it happens. If we start like losing matches and they start to be like 2-hour-long videos, I won't be able to get in two. But I'm looking to do 2 more gauntlets, and then we'll finish off the week with those 3 individual videos of the decks that we want to play, and then I think we'll be good to go from there. So with this, I'm not particularly worried about Yasuo. We typically meme on our ability to come in and just beat up on Yasuo, but I feel like that deck just potentially being loaded with Daybreak stuff is what could potentially give us some problems here. The thing we're needing to look towards with our previous lineup is actually banning out Leona. Because Leona, Aurelion Sol, while I don't think it's a good deck, it does have good matchups against a lot of the decks we like to play. And I think even with the Yasuo, a lot of those ideals are just going to be kind of caked into what that guy was doing. And I just want to go ahead and push it out of the way. All right, but reasonable enough start here against this mono Freylord, what's probably going to be a big Frostbite number. I typically don't recommend holding on to Tarics, but I feel like our opponent's not going to be able to interact with Taric, and so we can let him hang on for the moment. Not going to come out and just make trades. We have a couple of things here. We're about to get the Tyaris going, which will let us actually win the battle against the Yeti, and I don't really want to be dealing with 5/5s right now, and so we'll let the Yeti just hang out for a bit, and then we can build up. But no, I usually recommend like cycling away the Tarics. If your opponent's making like big tempo boards on you, Taric can be a little bit too slow, and you need to just go with your width. But I don't think this deck is going to interact with Taric very well, and so I felt like he should get to stay. And now we're really got to be popping off with this just big unit opener. All right, this just kind of reeks of a troll chant, and so I think it's fine to take down the Yeti here. If he spends the troll chant to kill the Fleet Feather Tracker, that's fine. Another combat trick here, fine as well. The thing that worries me about the Rhinefang Wolves is its ability to kill our expensive units like Taric and Mountain Sojourners, and so we may find ourselves just not playing any units on this turn, and then coming back next round and just dropping some of our bigger plays. Gets the free hook into the Broadwing. That's okay. We get the kill back. Now, I guess the question is, do we want to start dropping lodestones? I don't think so. These Mountain Sojourners are going to be so strong here. And then if we did change our mind, we can still pivot on this next turn. But I think this is definitely going to be a Sojourners round. Interesting drawing the Taric. It's always strong to dish out this +3/+3 twice, but I think I kind of want to have the combat trick. It's a little scary, like if he, say, plays a Rhinefang Wolf here, and then is lined up with a Flash Freeze in the background. There's very real potential for us to just get boomed, but looks like he's kind of interested in just playing Trundle, which is fine. We'll take all the stats. So look at my big boy Taric. He's been hitting the gym, hitting the beach. Such strength. Cool. All right, not bad. Is he just going to play Ashe now? Not even Ashe. Okay. Definitely on board with the goings on here. All right, so let's just boost up our weaker units here. I think we're going to do this same attack to where we just have Taric at the end, but he's going to be going in invulnerable next round. It's even okay. He's going to get frozen, but it's not a big problem. do we want to? This is the thing where I was kind of curious if we were going to mess up as to where I didn't want to immediately put the bonus onto the Sojourners, but let's do this. We're gonna play this big spell onto Taric, and now it's like we're losing out on a lodestone support. We should have put the support down here on the Sojourners, but I want our Tayari to get this invulnerable in here. We'll see if it comes down to being relevant, but such a giant Taric. Check that out. Check out my 17 health, bro. You don't even need invulnerable when you have that many healths. Yeah, this last support should have probably gone down here on the Sojourners. Seems like we're still in a pretty good spot. We have the concerted strike to kill whatever his big play is, and then once it gets back to our next attack, I'd say we're fine. The kind of what I would call a downside at this point for opponent is he has those Enraged Yetis in his deck, right? He should have drawn at least one, perhaps two now, and he needs some kind of interactive element to get in here and act on our board. Playing 5/5s is not the way to have a positive impact on this board. You about to get boomed, Usgar. You're gonna get boomed. Don't even have to worry about a flash freeze. 2 of our backline units are big enough just to strike him down. Sorry, old Usgar. I missed you a little bit, man. You were so good in Expedition. But not a great home in Constructed at the moment. I wanted to see how much we were going to attack for. Giving out +4/+4 with the Sojourners is a pretty good deal.
These gems aren't just for show.
That's right. These gems aren't just for show. All right. Now we get to showcase a bit of Misfortune Swain. I was going to say, I bet this this Vladimir deck has some potential to cause us trouble if he's dropping the Scar Grounds on us and he's getting the access to the way to prevent the Misfortune AoEs. Now, with this, I'm still not entirely certain how I feel. If I was playing just Pirates, I would have just hard mulliganed this hand for the 1-drop, and I feel like that's what we should be doing the majority of the time, is just trying to get these big mulligans in. But it's like this deck has a touch of the slowness to it, right? You take a little bit longer to win when you're going in with the Leviathan and going in with the Swain. And so I feel like to a degree it's kind of okay to keep these hands, but at the end of the day it's probably not. Probably should have just be taking the hard mulligans here. There's the Scar Grounds here to mess with our poor Misfortune. So are we gonna boom it on his whole team? I don't think I want to lead in with this. Let's just go ahead and draw some cards and get the tentacle going. It's like he's going to get something positive out of the Scar Grounds here. So let's not let him get it positive on like 2 and 3 different units. This guy, he doesn't grow, right? If this was a whatever, the guys that get bonus attack, it would be a little bit more problematic. He is going to get the kill onto Mirai Warden. That's okay. But it's not like he's going to grow to the point to where he can come in and kill Misfortune. The Stefan is the kind of unit I was talking about, as to where we're going to get in this combat. The Stefan is going to grow from the Misfortune hit and then hit us back for big damage. So he would have been more along the lines of the problem. Lots of big boys coming out here. So what I'm looking to have happen here is I'm just going to take all of this damage. It's going to be a little bit from the Stefan and the Reaver. It's going to be okay to take the Bone Scryer damage as well. I think I'm looking to just like maximize the value here. So we're going to play the Shell Shocker. I'm going to heavy metal the Bone Scryer just to get it off of the board. Then we're going to look to try and get around our opponent a little bit. We have the Mourned to deal some damage, and then we can hopefully finish things off with the Leviathan. So let's see. The Croaker can come in. I do worry a little bit about this deck playing something like Blade Flurry or playing the 1 damage Lysandra AoE, so I don't want to take our Tentacle down the whole way. But we'll shrink a little bit here. Right, and then we're going to look to kill. We got this 6 damage in hand. 2 damage from the Mourned gets us to 8. Misfortune gets us to 9. If one of these units gets in, we're looking pretty good to get the burnout kill. We ever just switch to Zap and go? I don't think I quite like that. All right, combat. So we'll get to see here if we actually want to grow these tentacles. Probably not going to, but a little bit of option. And now I'm tempted to just start spending the Nox and Fervors, but I don't want him to be able to prevent this damage in the middle of combat, right? If we start throwing Nox and Fervors at his face and he goes, oh shit, that's scary, I better play a Troll Chant to stop some of this damage, then it gives us a chance to get out of that a little bit. So now if he comes in and like taps out for Vladimir, we can probably just win the game. Might need to save a block for the Stefan next turn. I don't think this deck is going to play something like Might, but it could. We just go for it? He's got 2 mana. I think I'm okay with this. Okay. Okay. It's like they have to be playing Blade's Edge, right? Blade's Edge would be the one that would get him out of that. Otherwise, like if we go into the next turn, I feel like we could have gotten out of it. He's probably not playing Might, but maybe he is playing Might. But that would have given us a bit of trouble. I was kind of thinking like the other angle we have there is like we can just block his big Stefan and do the Nox and Fervor then, and then at that point maybe we want to be playing Zap so we have some more interactivity on the board. But none of that sounds particularly compelling. Okay, so again, Yasuo Leona turning up. I don't think this is a particularly strong deck, but that Daybreak curve coming out of Leona can cause some problems. I haven't been really impressed with Viego in the current format. Since Hate Spike took the nerf and Viego took the nerf, it's not to say he's bad. It's just with the decks that we like to play, he hasn't been causing nearly as many problems. So, okay to leave it up. Now up against Lurkers, we need to just get our early game interactivity on. Taric, I see some argument for keeping Taric, but if they play like the Lurkers curve and then just blow up every turn, then it's a little bit too problematic. So this looks good. No complaints here. Definitely get these cheapos on the board. If you're playing the Lurkers, you don't want to be blocking here. It's like if opponent has an opportunity to shut down your attack next turn, then you've probably just lost the game. So you can add some stuff in here, like if he plays a Snapjaw Swarm, then that kind of makes up for it a little bit, but in general, not the huge fan of that play. LOL. LOL Snapjaw Swarm. You're a good card. So let's see. How do we want to do this? We want to get the Broadwing in, and then we'll want to add the Fleet Feather Tracker and the Tyari. As it stands, the Fleet Feather Tracker can kill the Snapjaw Swarm, and then we can ideally make a big 5 toughness Broadwing that can get another attack kill and survive. Hothead. Was not expecting that one. Still looks quite good for us. Alright, not too much the Lurkers deck can do about us going Poppy into Mountain Sojourners, and so I think we'll be okay. Not worried about Rek'Sai whatsoever.
Just know the hero's around here somewhere.
Bringing it? You bring in the squad? Nope. Did hit a lurk. All right. Let's see how much we can boom in for here now.
No slowing down.
Easy for you to say.
So I'm looking to do the Sojourner into the Tyari into the Poppy. Oh, Preservarium is not a good card here. Not a good card. Right, so this will boost everybody. And then we still have these decent smaller attacks out here with the rest of our squad.
Hold tight.
It's like that's just a straight up lethal. I like my lethals straight up. Doing something. Call the pack's not it, my friend. Alright, good job. Played the card. Okay. Let's see how all the old pirates can hold up.
Complete. On to the next one.
Quest complete, on to the next one. I know what quest is about to be completed. Gotta check my fantasy football lineup before the game start. I got bamboozled a little bit this week. I know the timing's odd for this video because it's 2 days out from Sunday, but there was a morning game today. They did one of those London games, and so I was not expecting a 9 a.m. game to happen. It wasn't relevant for me. I think I had like one player on my bench, but that was it. You Europeans should have learned about the real football. Not that European football, the American football. Go out there and watch some dudes get brain injuries and stuff. Pretty fun. Poor guy. This was a harsh week for football. If you're not familiar with the American football, is one of the big quarterbacks. He got it was probably a concussion last week, and then he was probably allowed back into the games a little bit too early, and then he got another concussion, and it looked real bad. So it's a bit unfortunate. This game also looks a bit unfortunate. This is not a good start. I was just looking to mulligan for a bunch of units. This deck doesn't usually play things like Hapless Aristocrat, but a mulligan into double Nox and Fervor the Leviathan is not really what we're trying to pull off here. But let's just try and whittle this board down while we can. I know it's not ideal to be making these trades, but it should slow our opponents down enough to allow us to get some more stuff happening, right? If they're wanting to come in and start making a bunch of sacrifice plays and we wipe out their board, that's much better than completely playing into their game plan of just like letting them build up. So this is not ideal. I feel like we've suffered a harsh reality amongst the mulligans here, but we'll try our best to live up and move on. I am actually going to go ahead and throw in this Nox and Fervor. We just kind of like need some stuff to do, and I'm not really excited about going into next turn and just having like the Spiderling get a block on our rear guard. And so we can kind of pivot away on this board, get the zap in, look to just hopefully build up with the Leviathan and Swain. The important thing to note with these Nox and Fervors, or they do a really good job of leveling up your Swain, right? That's 6 damage. Our Swain is almost there at this point. And so as we roll around to our big Leviathan and Swain turns, he should be ready to go. Got a second Fervor in hand if that's what it takes to get him to pop off. All right. Rip zap. Oh, I'm kind of leaning. Oh, I thought we had a. I was thinking in my head that we had a make it rain in hand. I was like, I'm very happy to just go ahead and make it rain off some of these smaller plays, but not going to be the case. Riptide Sermon. Do you all remember this card? It's still good. I assure you, Riptide Sermon is still a fantastic Legends of Runeterra card. It does feel bad that it does a little bit less damage across the board, but it's a good one. Okay. This would get our Swain up to 10. Oh, we just done. Go me. All right. Well, we could chain a bunch of stuff on the board and then start getting the Leviathan going. That sounds pretty cool to me. Great way to come out here and just spend a ton of mana. Let's just pass on this for the moment. I want to get like the Nox and Fervor onto the Neverglade, but this doesn't look like a super strong attack into this board. He's going to be able to add too much to it. All right, now you can enjoy just the giant train of value coming out of the Leviathan. It's insane. Like I feel like the Leviathan upgrade was probably more important than the Swain upgrade was in terms of the card quality here. All right, opponent's down to one card. I'm going to assume it's probably not a Vengeance, right? If he had a Vengeance, I think he would be a lot more interested in taking down our Leviathan. Maybe, I mean, if he's so interested in getting a Husk, he might have an Evelyn in hand, which is just fucking fine. Right? I don't care about Evelyn. We're about to just pop off with our big boys here. And so if he's not interacting, we're going to be in an amazing space. Did we get a rage quit? Is that what just happened? I don't know about you all, but I do love a good rage quit. Feels good. I give some pass to the lands of mobile, in that it can be pretty challenging to actually push that stupid button now. If you want to push the cog and then the friends thing pops out, it can be a little tough to do, but I love it. I love it when we get to push out a good rage quit. Just ruin someone's day. That's what we're here for, just to ruin people's day. Seems like, judging by the speed of his timer, that's what's happened.
Victory awaits. By my hand,
All right. I'm not sure how I feel about what will happen in the next patch. I suspect some piece of this puzzle is going to get nerfed. I'm not sure. Maybe it was too much for them to just add all of this to Swain, where he got Overwhelm and the bonus attack. But, I'm curious to see what plays out. We do have, like, some options here other than just attacking. We could look to Heavy Metal, the Neverglade Collector, and then Ravenous Flocket, but I don't think we're in any hurry to win this game now. Even if opponent was here playing cards and stuff, I think just the raw power requirements from him, like having to deal with our Swain, would just be too much. And so it doesn't feel like a Ravenous Flock coming out of the Swain would really be worthwhile. Opponent would need to like Vengeance our Swain here, and then we would prefer to just have the follow-up one. So good stuff. Next battle. Okay, so no filthy Leona users in this round. As far as these matchups go, I'm usually pretty happy to play against any Zoe deck. All of our decks interact with Zoe well, whether or not that's with Challengers or Make It Rains or Unspeakable Horrors. We have a lot of ways to interact with Zoe, and if she's the cornerstone of your deck, she's going to suffer against what we do. Here, I'm a little, like, my concern out of these is I think our matchups against the Pirates deck are probably okay, but that's the one that worries me the most is the Sejuani Gangplank. It was typically a deck that was pretty decent against Pirates, and it gave Poppy Taric some fits as well. Although this Gwen Zed seems like it has some scary potential as well. But whenever it comes to these kind of close choices, I tend to just go with banning the more formulated, the more on-point deck, and that would be the Gangplank Sejuani. Okay, so Swain and Eye of Nagakaboros, you're gone. Give me my aggressive bros out here.
Where's my axe?
I bear a message from. Oh, hey, what's that?
Okay, get that aggression going. Our boy Legion Rearguard, the best card in the game. If you weren't familiar with what the best card in the game is, it's Legion Rearguard. The times will never change.
Hello, is that right?
What do we got? An equipment? You hit the fearsome. All right.
March to the sands.
The heavy metal. I'm not quite interested in playing heavy metal on Zoe right now. I'm more interested in getting the Sandsworn amulet down. Oh shit! I was gonna say she's not that scary, but if you're gonna put the draconic bands on her, there we go. LOL.
I'll do better this time.
Get into those combats now. Such a huge tempo swing. I love it. So how do we want to do this now? I think I'm pretty confident that I want to play Swain next turn. Maybe we do come in and just drop a Sandsworn Amulet, as this now shuts down Victor to a degree. There's some Victor hits he can make that would allow him to win this combat, but he's just going to be like backpedaling against what we're doing, and then let's say Spell Shield, that's a decent hit. It's like I want to line this up to where on our next turn we get to hit him with an Eye of Nagakaboros or a Riptide Sermon, but
Loyalty through conquest.
Spell Shield kind of cancels that, right? It's like if we attack and then he blocked our Mirai Warden with Victor, then being able to hit him with the Riptide Sermon would have been cool.
Inferior construct.
Okay. Even if Swain falls here, it's not really the end of the world. Then we're getting built up nicely to this idea of Misfortune and a Riptide Sermon on literally anything next turn, and then opening with Eye of Nagakaboros on the following turn and the 5/5 Tentacle. Whenever you see boards like this is the space to where you still say, like, wow, this Riptide Sermon's still really good, right? He's made a play, like he had the 6 mana, right? But the way his mana spend is gone, the game fucking crashed. God damn it. The way his mana spend was going that turn, if we say didn't play Swain and then got to instead... Oh my god, come on, my internet is connected. Come on, stupid game. Reddit LOR. Looks like we're getting things happening there. I thought we had internet. But okay, but no. What I was trying to say on this this board was, like, say we didn't play Swain, we went for the Riptide Sermon onto Sump Dredger. It's still a really strong and fantastic play, even though the Riptide Sermon is weaker than it used to be. But let's see if this Victor gets out of hand. He's hasn't hit like the big keywords yet. He hasn't hit elusive. He hasn't hit lifesteal. As long as we get to dodge that stuff, should be looking okay.
Sunlight guide you, my brethren. No prey, no pay.
I'm probably not going to get a better target than the Solari Priestess, but I think this is still fine. No lifesteal. Regenerate's pretty good, but hopefully not enough.
Brilliant design.
Rip Swain.
Focused improvement.
Yeah, that regenerate is going to be quite good. As we're like making this attack next turn and looking to break the spell shield with Misfortune, he's going to get the heal back up to whatever it is before that happens. Sad day.
Time for violence.
Well, let's see how this goes. He has to block the Shell Shocker, right? Or we just get a kill. And if he comes in like this, we have the opportunity to now grow the tentacle up to 5/5. He just gives up on it. Okay. GG.
Fortune smiles.
Fortune smiles upon the bold. That's right. So on to the Sejuani Gwen. The amount of respect Sejuani Gwen gets is right around 0. No one ever bans it. But this is the kind of spaces as to where like the harrowing is the big idea with playing this, is that my ultimate concern with this kind of lineup is we have to ban Leona, and then we're going to run into people that play both Leona and they play Swain Twisted Fate, and I really like having access to a harrowing deck against Twisted Fate or against Swain. It doesn't interact with it well, and it gives a lot of opportunity to beat them the turn before they go big on you. No Mystic Shot? No Cascade. Okay. Still fine. He doesn't get to build up his board here. We get to chunk in a little bit of damage. He didn't get any real value out of that. Seems good. Our hand sucks now, though, is kind of the problem. I guess like a 3 bank into the next turn's not the end of the world, but ideally we'd be playing units.
This is a chance for me to leave my mark.
Like Gwen, let's boom him. There's a lot of times when I'll come in and make this block on the previous turn against the Sump Dredger. I feel like we're going to just get an additional point of damage in with Omen Hawk this game, though. And so it doesn't feel super worthwhile, especially when we're about to like heal a little bit with Gwen. And we do have the things like Inner Beast in hand. But one of the things you do have to kind of like watch yourselves with this is when you have Battle Fury, you do find yourselves with a lot of opportunities just to sneak this last unit in and then be like, LOL, 9 damage Omen Hawk. So I don't feel like this matchup is aggressive enough from opponent to warrant me wanting to lose the Omen Hawk there. Might be a sad day for Omen Hawk right now, though. If he open hooks the Omen Hawk with Victor, do we play Battle Fury? Or do we just give up on the Omen Hawk at this point?
It's just accidental art.
It's too close to getting her killed next round, so I'm gonna give up on the Omen Hawk. You fought hard though. You fought valiantly. I appreciate the work you did for our team today.
Welcome, one and all, to the midnight.
Reality is just your mind crumbling under what it doesn't understand.
Okay, let's see what happens. I don't think he ever no attacks here. We have like just great combat tricks, and so I think it's safe to add these kind of like boisterous host units in the face of Victor, because like I don't necessarily think he's going to hook now that he hit elusive, but I don't think he ever passes this turn without entering combat. See, now we get to do good stuff. So we'll save this unspeakable horror for Zoe. We could have saved the mana there and tried to get a kill this turn. I ultimately get a kill with Battle Fury. I ultimately worry about a deck like this playing something like Hush. It's a waste of mana. I guess if you want to play a Pale Cascade, you can say that, but know to yourself there's no card that you can play off of a star chart in the middle of this combat. Thought we figured that out years ago. That was apparently wrong. All right, all looks good to me. There's that Omen Hawk doing the damage we knew it could do.
No matter their resolve, mine will be stronger.
All right, we'll see how this plays out. I mean, he doesn't have any board at this point, so there's no real reason to be thinking about the 1 damage AoE stance. Once it gets to this point, you're probably just going to be looking to put the stance onto Gwen, give her Overwhelm. It's like it didn't matter. Victory was upon us. Good job, deck.
See that? I did that. Me.
Very impressive. All right, my fantasy teams look okay. Nice little fantasy break. We're good to go now. Alrighty, so interesting lineup. I'm never banning out the Teemo deck. That's completely fine. We play wonderfully against Teemo. The Sun Disc is that kind of like classic deck to where you're like, how do I either attack around, attack through, or attack twice into this? All of our decks do it. I worry a touch about trying to play the Harrowing deck into it, but everything has Overwhelm. I think that matchup there should be fine. But the last one here, Fiora with Bard. Like, I don't think I'm afraid of Fiora Bard, but I just think like we're very well set up to play against the Sun Disc. I guess the Pirates deck would be the one that could be slightly weaker there, but I think I want to take that one on. Let's just get this Fiora deck out of here. Big surprise, nobody banned Gwen. Nobody believes in Gwen, man. Feels bad. Ooh, I don't believe in this starting hand. Let's get all this shit out of here. Not good, not good. This is how you can definitely lose some of these games. Give me some of them early plays, please. Visit www.givemeearlyplaysplease.com. see what turns up. Ugh, this is definitely how you lose to Teemo. All right, we've been given some opportunity, some interactivity. I appreciate it. Go ahead and get that shit out of here. Then we don't necessarily have to block this round, but I think I'm kind of on board with it. Wow, this has been painful. Like, it's like maybe we'll come up with a challenger by then. It's like we have one more round before he's able to get a flipped hit on us, but this feels like it does so much more in preventing him from even getting close to flipping. We do have like the concerted strike in hand now, so we have some opportunity to just take him down. Interesting with the protege. I was planning on just playing Taric. It's like I feel like we need to spend as much mana as we can the rest of the way through, and then he lets us like set up a kill on our next attack token with this Golden Aegis. So it's like assuming we don't spend the 3 spell mana and we get to roll around to the next one and have good attacks. I think it's okay. Definitely got some opportunity here. All right, he's got too much mana for a Caitlyn block. I'm even like a little bit worried about blocking with Taric here. Okay. Well, we're gonna have to kill the Teemo. We just have to buy time in this spot. Feels like, I mean, he's at least fairly all-in-y at this point. Right, we can now pivot over to the Protege. We can build up to Tayari Poppy if we want to get some blocks going on this board. Like, we got some options here. I think this will now come down to, like, if he's able to start dropping, like, Ava Achievers and Karinas, then we probably have a little bit of problem. But if we're able to... if we're able to move into the next turn without those big plays coming on board, then I think we're going to be fine.
Minding details is my duty.
So my idea with this is we had I want to spend 2 units this turn. If we get to drop the Esmuth, this gives us an opportunity to not have to worry about... oh, this is dangerous. Fuck, you got the Caitlyn flip. I was going to say, it gives us opportunity to not have to worry about a Teemo hit. Now we had, like... How much is Caitlyn going to hit for? 4? Going to hit for 6? Yeah, we just can't attack into Caitlyn. I mean, it's not the end of the world, but... we would have ideally taken her off of the board.
Hardly fair.
All right, let's see how many traps we run into next turn. We've got a bit of options in terms of Caitlyn. We can, like, grow and try and take her down. Here, just taking 2 damage isn't that bad.
Scoping the area.
Hope you're sturdy.
You better stop here. If he's going to start playing spells into the Caitlyn, we're going to need the protection.
Peacemaker protocol.
Okay. So we'll take 2 from Caitlyn. Not bad. Now the question here is, do we want to go ahead and try and protect our Poppy? And then is it better to protect her by just playing a unit? It's probably better just to play a unit, right? From these flashbang traps, that's the new thing that's going to be coming in and causing problems. Ugh. Ooh, go right. Oh my gosh, we would have lethaled this turn if I think we could have lethaled this turn if the unit would have survived. Damn. Maybe next turn we'll get the double attack with Taric.
I have something very
Yeah.
special planned.
Damn.
My journey begins here and ends at the top.
But this is why no match is 100%. This should be. This isn't. I shouldn't say this should be. This is an exceptionally good matchup for Poppy Taric, but you'll run into these draws sometimes to where you just don't have any of the early game, and we're just really slow into coming into the game. We didn't have a unit until turn 3 or turn 4. Happens on occasion. It's why I do like to play the triple Tayari version. It's just like such a game breaker in these when you just don't have anything to do in the first 2 turns of the game. That it's a real bummer to not have the Tayaris. Now with this up against the Azir Zerath, I'm just going to look for mainly our 2-drops. We're looking to have these really high-powered plays because we're not going to be dealing much damage in the early game. Like, yeah, we got Fleet Feather Tracker, that's cool, but opponent tends to play a bunch of just like really good board stall blockery kind of things, and it's more important to mainly just have the Poppy, but also Taric, whatever that we can have to come in and interact with these plays. So Broadwing now is fine. I'm not planning on attacking here just yet. I want to play this a little bit slower and then get the Get the looks like at this point it's going to be Taric and the Mountain Sojourners. He's short on the mana to be able to quicksand us. So getting rid of Xerath here will be huge. Now we can sharp sight through the hook into the Broadwing. Take the 3 from the Rockhopper, he's just never going to kill us. And now we're in a good spot to get more of these big booms going on. Leaning towards Poppy here. I should probably just go for the Sojourner. Like, there's no way for us with our mana here to play a card this turn, bank 1, and then go into next turn. We just have 7 mana, so we can't play 2 cards. And Taric is like kind of safer into this board. Maybe we just go with the Sojourners. We can easily protect it. All right, I'm ready now. I'm ready to get the clears. Does give him access to the sarcophagus, which can lead to the 4 damage shot thing, but I think this is completely fine.
Men die, but Sharima lives forever.
It's like we almost could have played a card here. If that would have... I was worried about his vulnerable coming in from that Waking Sands, and then when he filled out his board with Azir, it kind of takes that play from him. But... Alright, so we're losing the bird. Sure. So now we can drop Poppy, open attack next turn, then play Taric with the Golden Aegis, and then just continue on from there. That sounds delightful to me. So here's the big squad. He's got to start blocking and stuff. I think we're okay even if he has that. It is gonna suck if he has that destroy a landmark, deal 4 damage, but without it, I think he's really going to struggle here. This is completely fine. Don't care about Azir. He needs the blockers right now. Preservarium's not doing it, my friend.
Each life a rare jewel.
Okay. Got it. Let's see, he can never kill any of our units. Let's go with the damage. And if you're not familiar with this play, we get the rally out of this, so we're going to attack. We're going to copy the Relentless Pursuit onto another unit, looking like the Poppy here. And then we get another rally after this. Get to come in for the kill. So we get 3 attacks this turn. You say ready, set, slam. GG. Good stuff. All right, get him there in the end for about 1 million. That's why this deck is quite good against quite good against the Sun Disc. Once you know the kind of angles there to where you want to come in and protect your units and then just kind of build up to those big combos. It gets much easier. It's not a matchup to where you're looking to come down and play a big board control game with your early game challengers. You're looking to get those Poppies and those Mountain Sojourners because they interact with them so poorly. All right, so yeah, the downside to this matchup is they tend to play Rite of Negations, which they can use to counterspell your Harrowings if it comes down to it. But we have a lot of the stuff that can throw them problems, right? Again, like the Sun Disc deck, it puts down those Rock Hoppers and stuff and tries to just come in and block and block and block until they can drop the bigger plays, and that's a problem for something, say, like the Leona deck, to where they're getting those attacks in, but they don't get to actually deal any damage. So with this deck, we do get to do the damage with our Tusk Speakers and the like. So here, we want to add the Tusk Speaker. There is a world where we get to flip our Sejuanis, and so we want to deal damage to our opponent on their turn with the Tusk Speaker if we can. And then as we roll back to our turn, we want to play our non-Tusk Speaker units. And so with this, I like his play here. I think we would want to go for the Phantom Butler. It's like, if he's going to play a Rock Hopper, I want to be able to hit it with Unspeakable Horror. If he's going to play a 3/3, it's fine. And so if he plays something like a Zir, or if he plays a Soothsayer, then the Phantom Butlers actually get to attack through for damage. I don't know about you, but I like attacking through for damage. All right, and then I'm leaning towards just going wide here. Like, he has some positive attacks, but like Gwen is only ever going to deal 2. She's not very spectacular with this. The Ancient Yeti is strong, but we can just play it on the cheap next turn or 2 turns from now. I'm leaning towards getting these Butlers down. So if he wants to attack with the Clockling, we have decent trades on it, and then he just can't block them with his other bros out here. Yeah, I think this looks good. Then the idea here is if they do actually come in and die, then we can trade out the. We still get that Hallowed bonus. Let's see what we draw. Another Gwen. Kind of interesting with the Thread the Needle coming up, but let's just get the big Reaver on board. These spaces also make it awkward for opponent as to where, say they want to play a Roiling Sands now, then they're only going to get 1. Like if they needed to play the Roiling Sands for cycle, then they lose out on a little bit of that value, which then makes it a little bit harder to flip this Zerath.
You disrupt our peace.
Not bad. It's like, even if he has a Quicksand here, we only miss out on a couple points of damage. So that's pretty cool. There's the Roiling Sands. He only gets 1. See? I dig it, yo. Uh-oh. Don't think you want to be dropping Preservariums here. What you got? Here's the big play of the day. Blowing up a Phantom Butler. Yeesh. Oof. I don't know about that, my man. That cannot feel good. All right, so I think we want to be opening here. That doesn't seem like there's too much that he could have, but this has to be astronomically challenging for him to deal with. The Zir Arise. Okay. Those can block. It's a nice small answer to Gwen, I guess. Still going to come in and deal about 1 million. Sorry you guys don't get to watch the whole movie. All right, neg 11 into 8. Market a W. FTP bust.
Just a stitch in time.
All right, final battle. I got scared there. It's 5 minutes to kick off, and I got a notification on the Yahoo thing. And so I thought my fantasy team was at risk, but they're just trying to get me to sports bet, so everything's okay. Everything's fine. No worries here. Now we get to see if we get to crush someone's seasonal's dream. Saw an interesting tweet article today. If you're not, I guess we'll circle back to it. Looks like we just found our match, but this is the stuff we're exactly talking about, right? This is the lineups exactly how I called it out earlier. So I'm curious to see how this goes, right? There's Nami Twisted Fate, which we're going to leave up. We feel like our opponents, good chance they'll play it poorly. Even if they don't, the matchups here should still be good. That deck is probably playing Lee Sin over Twisted Fate, so you can play Twisted Fate with Swain. So we're going to come in. We're going to have this additional option here to where Lee Sin, not particularly strong against what we're doing. The Twisted Fate's pulled into the Swain deck, which we're looking to ban. And then he just has the Sejuani Gangplank deck otherwise. I think this looks quite nice. So here, I don't like to hate on our Gwen deck too much, but I think I'd like to see the Gwen deck come up against the Pirates if that's the possibility we have. It's just the downside with Gwen and Nami is they do play Deny. And I've kind of considered, what if we kind of like broaden the concept of this lineup to just ban Deny decks and then maybe play 2 Harrowing decks, but I don't think I'm like really on board with that. Alrighty, but we're looking for more of a Pirates-y style start. Here we go with a bit of the aggression. That looks good. See what we can do. Unfortunately, no. We didn't find any of the summoner dude. What's your name? I can never remember it. Mirai Warden, but it's okay. See if he goes for the double trouble this turn. That seems like reasonable for opponent to want to do such a thing. He doesn't go for it. Only get a little bit of damage in, but let's see what happens. We got a bit of a mid-gamey kind of draw, which is good against a lot of decks, but we're really looking to open up with a lot of aggression against Nami. So this is tough, right? We have the heavy metal in hand, but the problem we have here is rolling into next turn. We just don't have a lot to do with our mana, right? And so we could play like Jagged Butcher heavy metal this turn, or if we just play the Jagged Butcher, then we can 2-bank into the next turn and play a Riptide Sermon. But I think this might just be too good to pass up on. So we'll go ahead and heavy metal out the Hookmaster. Cleans up his board kind of nicely. And then if we want, I mean, we could look to just like Eye of Nagakaboros and to open attack next turn. It doesn't seem awesome. Like we're getting the same amount of damage in kind of either way, but it's just such a unit heavy draw. I think it's such an expensive spell heavy draw here. Yeah. Not the turn we want to be playing the Eye of Nagakaboros. But, I mean, this is a decent upgrade for the next turn, though, in that we have 3 1-drops now, and so we have a bit of potential to flood the board. Can't just play Swain. just play Swain as how you... Ooh, this block is completely backwards. Just play Swain as how you get hit by a Homecoming. Come on, dude. Come on, cat. Got this cat over here. He's trying to hang out. He's doing his cat thing to where he's running around my chair and can't figure out what he wants to do. Okay. So opponent might have had a bit of an awkward draw as well. They didn't have a lot of that early game board stall, right? I think if we were facing down a board now to where they dropped like double troubles and stuff on it, we would just be in kind of like a real disaster mode kind of space. So it feels at least kind of okay that they haven't blown up on us just yet, but still worried. This game is not going according to plan. Just drops Nami. Oh, he can't banker up enough just yet. We could look to hit her with a Nox and Fervor, right? I hate to be in this angle to where it's like I'm start thinking about like value lines at this point because opponent's so high, but maybe that's the way this lands. Oh my gosh, come on, cat. Come on, cat. Oh my gosh. There, I got him. He's here. Don't worry, guys. The kitty's up here now. Oh my gosh, you're so dumb. All right, he's got a combat trick. Unfortunate. So the Nami's definitely going to be flipping next turn, assuming he doesn't play any more cards. Nothing we can do about that. I mean, I guess we can look to just like Riptide Sermon the Nami, but that's just so dangerous. I mean, maybe it's okay. Like, if we Riptide Sermon and he has to play Deny, it slows him down to just 2 mana for the turn. Huh. Then we do have the flipped Swain. Let's play some cards and see what happens. I don't think the Riptide Sermon's the way to go. We can, like, pivot at this point and then just slam the Eye of Nagakaboros, but I think I want to leave ourselves open to getting Swain on board. Does he just have the homecoming like every time here? I think even if he does, it's kind of okay. And if he doesn't have the concussive palm, well, concussive palm's fine, right? If we get to keep our Swain on board, it's homecoming that sends Swain back, which is problematic. But if he's playing homecoming onto this board, we have very good attacks, and he has to return one of these units, which is kind of okay. But that's tough. Oh, he goes Burblefish. Does he just already have it? Interesting. Let's see what happens. This would be a pretty good AoE if it lands. It's like, oh my gosh, he doesn't have it. Okay, okay. Beautiful. So he's going to get to prevent all this damage, right? And then he may, like, try and grow some of this stuff up over top of 3, but I can't imagine that's the case at this point. You'd probably just block with the Burblefish and prevent. Well, I guess you could have like a Wuju style, and that would let him protect the Burblefish or protect the Nami. Protects the Nami. She still dies here, though. You can't block like this. The Swain's gonna AoE everything for 3. So he can pull the Nami back and take the extra 2 points of damage, but a block with her here, she's going to die. That was pretty cool, right? Go ahead and put your Burblefish in and prevent that extra 3. Just don't know how Swain works at this point, or interesting. Well, okay. Feels pretty good now. We get to just drop Riptide Sermon on whatever they play. Don't care if it's weak or strong. We're going to try and Riptide Sermon whatever unit that they drop. We get to follow up with the Jagged Butcher and then have a really strong open next turn. That doesn't seem positive for opponent.
I am the Simon Wind. Whoosh!
Let's just try and keep them from drawing cards. It has a bit of bonus here that if he has that plus that multicast combat trick, that the tentacle would survive it as well, and so at least get a bit of combat away from it. Got him. All right, feels good. Feels good. That was definitely a tense moment getting that Swain down. I think that was the right play. Like, it just doesn't feel like Riptide Sermon does enough there. It feels like that's kind of like the critical turn to where we just need something to go right. Right? Nothing that game went right. We just had all that expensive stuff. We drew our deck in the wrong order, and you can't be making the tempo plays there. That's not a spot for tempo. It's just a spot where something needs to go right. All right, though, we got the Nami deck down. Interesting against the twisted or the Sejuani Gangplank deck. I usually like to go into this with just like maximum opportunity to stop them from dealing damage to you, and with like the Troll Chant and the 1-cost unit or the 2-cost unit, we might get to build up into this really strong Troll Chant board, but it kind of feels like that's a thing to where it'll work if we're on the even attacks and not the odds. Or I'm sorry, if we're on the odds, not the evens. Now he's in a spot to where he can like play a turn 1 unit and then just hit. And then on turn 2, we'll add a guy, he'll add a guy, and then on turn 3, he's probably just going to open. And we don't get the opportunity for this Troll Chant. So, ooh. Oof. Sad day for opponent. Our draws have not been particularly good either this game, but it's very important for the Sejuani Gangplank deck to be hitting in those points of damage as early as they can. Yeah, not bad. Interesting. I'm curious if he just drew the Butcher. I think it came out of the left side of his hand, or if that was intentional to skip on that point of damage. But either way, this is absolute disaster of a draw. Just not picking up anything. Like, I see an argument for dropping a 3 Sisters onto the Butcher that turn, just to kind of prevent them from doing their stuff. But, oh boy. Oh boy. Okay. So that's how the game's gonna go. They're trying their hardest out there to limit us from from canceling this guy's day. We can't even cast any of our spells. We gotta like 3 Sisters, pick something up that we're not gonna cast. Unspeakable Horror. We'll put it onto the Crackshot Corsair. Always good when the Plunder deck lands on a Crackshot Corsair. And then we'll see if we pick up something off the Unspeakable Horror. I bet we pick up like an Eclipse Dragon. Moonlight Affliction. Pretty much pretty much the same card. Okay. Alright. Well, that was a game. But I'm still not certain, like, we maybe should have cycled away that Troll Chant, because it can be like incredibly important to hit an Omen Hawk on that first turn. Like Boisterous Host, Omen Hawk. If you're able to get like the shutdown on them on turn 1, it just like limits their strategy for so hard. Like I think if I had stopped and thought about that a little bit longer, to where we're in that space of if we're on the odd attacks, then that Troll Chant line works a lot better for us. But on the evens, opponent's probably just going to open on us on turn 3, and we don't get that opportunity to play a unit and play the Troll Chant. I think I would have mulliganed that Troll Chant away. And so, while it wasn't super useful for us in that game, it's going to be good to know as the future games come up. All right, I'm just going to go for the maximum damage here with the Boisterous Host. The way we should be sequencing this, we shouldn't be getting blown up by a Make It Rain because we're going to play Troll Speaker on the next turn. But it's definitely something to worry about with these starts as to where Getting 3-for-1 to my Make It Rain does not feel good. As one could imagine, it does not feel good. The coral creatures. Okay. So let's see how they spend that mana here. Ideally, we'll just be adding Phantom Butlers, but I can definitely see an argument for, say, playing Omen Hawk this turn, double Butler next turn, and then seeing how the Omen Hawk abilities land. But let's see, pick up a 3-power. Probably just need to go for the damage. No Halloweds yet, so I'm not real worried about how our attacks come in. See if he's got that Make It Rain right now. Okay. I don't think you want to save it for combat. Maybe you do, but this seems like a spot to where you would have wanted to preemptively Make It Rain. I understand there's 2 Hallowed units here, but just a lot of opportunities for this to go wrong. Okay. Hanging on to that combat reel. Pretty good. Pretty good for the Nami deck to get that extra attune health in.
My quest is dangerous. but I
That
will
feels
not
extremely early.
What a strange, wonderful world.
I don't want to drop Gwen here. She's going to be a fantastic blocker on this board. If he wants to start like churning off spells to boost a Hookmaster, then fine. It takes a bit of work before the boosts even land on the Hookmaster. He's lost out on that spell mana gain. He has to have another. Well, I guess the Shimon Wind is going to be his spell mana spend, but he's not gaining any more this turn for Nami. All right, deck. Let's see what turns up. Something cool, I'm sure. I'm also not quite sure what you gain by playing the Shimon Wind right now. Right, it's a burst spell. So you could probably just do whatever you want next turn. Like, what 1 mana card do you draw that you want to play on this turn right now? As to where, with the Shimon Wind, you can just burst it out this turn, and then whatever you wanted to play, you can still do. But if you need that mana to do something else now, then you don't have it anymore. So a little tough here. Like the on like curve play is the Ancient Yeti. I think it's okay to drop. And my reasoning with this is if he's gonna have an answer to either like one of our big plays, that's gonna soak up all of his mana for the turn. And so I think it's reasonably safe to add the Yeti, right? So if he's gonna homecoming either Gwen or the Yeti, then we still have another big unit on the board. And it doesn't feel like a turn where either Omen Hawk or Phantom Butler really do too much. And so they'll be like reasonable to add next turn when we're going to look to try and just make a big open attack and finish off the game. But this turn, I don't think I'm quite interested in giving the opponent the opportunity to get these things going.
Ever hear about the bad man who tried to catch the doll? He missed.
Then the attack I'm looking to make, of course I have to see if they add anything to the board here, but I'm leaning towards sending our Phantom Butler to the left. We should probably just send the Ancient Yeti to the left, right, and let it collect the +1 bonus and try and get that extra overwhelm damage in. That sounds reasonable to me. Then ideally here, I mean, he's got the Nami block into the Omen Hawk, but our ground-based block shouldn't matter anymore. And I would like to just kind of get the Omen Hawk off the board at this point. It's not going to be a realistic source of damage the rest of the way here. So if it gets a block by Nami and cleans up our board a little bit, that would be okay.
You're up, Chumbucket. You won't stop me. Ride the surging tides.
There's the homecoming. Sure. Interesting how this is lined up, though. Like, he's either gonna be he's gonna homecoming back the Ancient Yeti off of the Disciple. He only takes 1 damage this turn. Yeah, that's pretty good.
Let the tide carry you.
Okay. At least his Nami is still reasonably far away from flipping. She needs another 3 spell mana coming out of this turn. So we have some options there. These Ancient Yetis are pretty painful in these Nami matchups when they get sent back to your hand and start to cost 7 mana. Just like we're at a real bummer of a turn here into what we can actually add to the board. Like, it just doesn't feel like Omen Hawk, Phantom Butler really do enough. And it's just like if we drop the Ancient Yeti, we're just asking to get hit by a Concussive Palm or a Homecoming. It's just a real damned if you do, damned if you don't situation here. I'm gonna lean towards just trying to pick up some width, but this is a spot where it feels like even if you add in a Battle Fury, you're not going to be able to do anything. It feels like this is probably just a loss at this point. But we'll see. Looks like he's going to be trying to come at us with the Shimon Wind. I'm curious if we can't get a Troll Chant on it. Can't at this point. So the Nami will definitely flip going into next turn, assuming he doesn't make another weird-ass play with the Shimon Wind. See how that turns out. Mind-blowing. I guess she'll flip anyway. She just needs the 1 more mana, but feels like he's really out here just wasting all of this. But yeah, we're pretty hosed now. It's like kind of tough with this turn as to where I guess we could have added the Overwhelm, but that play just doesn't do anything. Now it's like we're too far out for the Harrowing. And this is the spot to where it's like maybe you could do something with a Battle Fury, but our board isn't wide enough. So we're really just kind of suffering suffering from every angle on this one. The cards just did not fall well. But let's see what we can do. The concession here doesn't get us a win, so maybe we can have something go our way. Maybe that was the wrong angle on the last turn. It's like, how do we ever win the game with this Omen Hawk Phantom Butler, right? Because he's just going to be killing us with the elusives on this follow-up turn. I mean, we probably should have just said, okay, well, we're going to add the Ancient Yeti, and then we'll add another Ancient Yeti this turn, and then just kind of hope the big overwhelms are enough. I think that we messed this game up. Right, you just have to kind of be like, well, if he's got it, he's got it. You know, if he has the way to take these down, then, you know, more power to you. But I really kind of regret this Phantom Butler Omen Hawk angle now. It's just not going to do enough. Right, I think the way to kind of think of it is if he's going to like homecoming us, he can get 1, but he wouldn't be able to get both. And that second one is where we're able to kind of like punch some damage in.
This one could
But his timer's in the neg. You know, I'm not certain what this is supposed to mean ever. To the best of my knowledge, it doesn't mean anything until the full timers run down. But we run into this on occasion as to where the timer keeps rolling, and we're not exactly sure what it does or means. It feels like something poor should be happening to you when it's in the negative, but it seems like the thinking bar is moving very, very slowly here. I hate it when my thinking bar moves slowly, but it seems to be what's happening. Alright, so I'm not going to attack with the Omen Hawk. We might actually need it to block one of these smaller units next turn. We're going to bring the rest of the squad in. As it stands, he doesn't have a block onto our Fearsome, which is nice. And then we have this Ancient Yeti out to the left. Now again, I think this would have been better if we just had double Yetis coming in this turn. And then if he has the Homecoming to send one back, kind of whatever, but we didn't take that angle, and now we're kind of regretting it. We'll see how much his team can grow here. Oh, just the Tellstones? Assume it's going to send back the Ancient Yeti. Is he still really giving up his Elusives, though? It's insane to me. So I don't think we want to Troll Chant here. I think we might need the Troll Chant as a means to preventing damage next turn. And so I'm not going to do it. The Butler and the Boisterous Host aren't like really powerful saves anyways. Interesting. Maybe it does work out okay if opponent's just going to throw all their elusives away. I am full of intrigue. Battle Fury, that's the answer. That's always the answer, am I right? You just got to come at him with the surprise Battle Fury. And so if we're going to keep that in mind, I'm looking to just add this same Ancient Yeti to the board this turn. Finally, that timer is going down faster. But that still leaves us in a spot to where we could potentially Troll Chant to prevent 2 damage, and then next turn we can still come at him with this Battle Fury. And the Battle Fury has a lot of potential for good here, in that he's already played he's played 2 Homecomings at this point. Well, 2 Ionian Tellstones, and so we have some opportunities. It's not going to work on Gwen. Maybe the Snip Snip will do... take her up to 17 attack. It's tempting. Very tempting. I'll give it that. Can you snip snip her in the middle of combat? I haven't done this Battle Fury thing where the snip snaps on the stack. I'm curious if you can, if it registers on attack or if it registers when it resolves. Right? So do I drain 1 from the enemy nexus for every 2 power I have? So the idea being we load Gwen up with the Battle Fury. All right, well, squad incoming. You better get to clicky clicking pretty fast, my friend. your timer thing is finally running down. Go faster. All right, I think we win. I didn't do the mathematics on this, but the Battle Fury should be good enough on one of these blocks to be able to punch in enough damage. Says neg 29 coming in, and he missed out on the blocks. So all right, GG. And so that was that was quite what I was talking about with this lineup and this idea. Now it's a little worrisome with this idea and us going into seasonals with it, right? As as you know, you get deep into a seasonals run, you're going to be playing against people that are quite strong with Nami Twisted Fate. I don't mean to talk like trash against opponent there. I feel like that's someone we may have encountered before. I don't know. The name is kind of familiar, but you don't get that kind of like less optimal play the deeper in the event you would go. And so it's like I don't want to count on our opponents to just be kind of making misplays, but you must admit that the opportunities are there, and there's a lot more opportunity for that deck to kind of mess up. And the way I kind of look at a lot of decks are, I think that with aggro decks, you're making the most important decisions, right? People like to talk trash about how non-challenging aggro decks are to play. And I do see a lot of games as to where you just curve out 6, 7, 10 mana of units and your opponent stumbles a little bit and you just attack and win. But the thing I like to call it is the decision density or the decision weight, as to where if you're playing like a real grindfest control deck, say you're playing a Nami, or not Nami, say you're playing like Heimerdinger Nora, and you play like the wrong removal spell early, you play a Vile Feast instead of a Hate Spike or whatever, the weight there of that decision probably isn't very big, because it's not going to have a huge impact on the game. Like, there's certainly spaces to where if you did it right, then you would have won. If you did it wrong, you would have lost. But you know, like 75% of the time, the decision doesn't matter as long as you just play that removal spell on that turn, because you're just going to build up so much value across the game that it doesn't matter. But playing a deck like Pirates, if you play the wrong unit on the second turn and your opponent handles it, you know, properly, you've probably just lost the game. And so the decision there is like so much higher and so much more important with the likes of a deck like Pirates that I don't think people give it the proper amount of credit. And so where that does kind of circle back with Nami Twisted Fate, I feel like it struggles on both sides of the spectrum, as to where it both has to make a ton of decisions, right? That's why people think that control decks are so challenging to play, is because you have to make so many decisions with them. I contest that those decisions typically just don't matter. They don't matter with as much frequency as people give them credit for. But I think that when you're running Nami Twisted Fate, that it has to both make a whole big bunch of decisions, and they carry a lot of weight like they do with the aggro decks. And so even if we're playing against people that are playing it more optimally, they are going to have the opportunities to just fuck it up and lose. And so I kind of like it in that sense. But you can see the flip side of that equation, as to where those games weren't easy wins, right? Those weren't like slam dunk wins by any means. Not to talk trash about opponent, but I feel like they probably didn't play that optimally. And that takes away some of our opportunities for value. But I think having that matchup come up at the end really feels like how I want these things to kind of go, as to where we get to ban out the Swain deck. We get 2 like really good opportunities against Nami, and then hopefully we have some good matchups against that last deck. You know, we did quite struggle against that last deck, the Plunder deck, but that was just kind of a function of a really horrible draw. And so that was good stuff. I enjoyed it. I felt like that was a really valuable match in kind of getting myself prepared for seasonals. I wish we could get more of those, but you don't have much time left in terms of trying to get these gauntlets in, and it's going to be back to the ladder soon. And so I had fun. I had a good time with this one. I hope you did too. I'm going to queue up and play another one and see if we can't finish that one off. I might have obligations coming that stop me from doing that, and so try my best if you don't get another Gauntlet video. But starting to ramble, we're going to call it a day there. I had fun with this. Hope you did too, and that is going to do it for us today. So I hope everyone enjoyed the video. Hope you maybe learned a thing or two along the way and had a good time watching. Now, this is Bust, and we thank you for being here.